Good afternoon, everyone. Today is the optional memorial of Saint Maria Goretti. Do you know anything about the life of Maria Goretti? This holy young teenager, really preteen, that lived really a good life with her mom and dad. They were poor. They didn't have much. They lived a simple life. But I think we live a simple life, we get closer to God. There's something to say about that. I think with a lot of distractions and a lot of possessions, I think God is put on the shelf until you need him. But when you live this simple life, you're dependent on God for everything. And God becomes really top priority in your life because you depend on him for your sustenance in body and soul. See, when we have things and we're occupied and preoccupied with many things and gadgets, God is there only when we take him off the shelf, when we need him in an emergency. Someone's sick. We lost our job. We have a problem. And then God is put off the shelf as almost like a good luck charm. Here, let me just dust this off this statue and pray to God that he'll fix everything. Now, we need to petition God, don't get me wrong. Petitioning is part of our prayer life, like adoration and contrition, supplication. They're all part and forms of prayer. But it's all of those things, not just one. And God is not a rabbit's foot. God is not a 3 or 4 leaf clover. God is something beyond that. But if you treat him like that, then you'll never understand his will. His will for you and his will for me. It's almost viewed in a way that is distorted. In the spiritual life, God must be all in all. You must enter into the mystery, the very life that God is calling us to, and able to hear him. Because with that model, we're only, yeah, I want this, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And then God is just there like a bobblehead, or God is just there like a rabbit's foot. But prayer is not that. Prayer is this opening to listen to God, to train the ear, to be attentive to God, so that God can enter in. Maria Goretti was a young girl that knew that because of her simplicity of life. She didn't have the distractions of the world. Her family was poor. They depended on God. See, when you're not poor, everything else is your God. The car, the clothes, the jewelry, the shoes, the vacation, the house. They become our little gods, right? And we have to be careful of that. Because in and of themselves, they're beautiful gifts. But they can possess us. And that's the danger. That's the false gods today. Now, sometimes people don't want to hear that because they don't want to let go of the things they love. I love my clothes, I love my shoes, I love the jewelry, I love this watch, I love these earrings, I love my car. When I was in 3rd grade, now see this brain? It's dangerous. When I was in 3rd grade, I remember our 3rd grade nun saying, "You don't love those things, you like them. You love God." It is never forgotten. I've never forgotten that. She would say sometimes, I remember during Thanksgiving, "Sister, I love turkey." No, you don't. you like turkey, you love God. And what was she trying to say to us? You know, as a kid, it's very impressionable. Kids are impressionable. We're like a sponge. We soak up all this info. You know, when you grow up and you mature, you're like, you're right, sister. They're things. Love is such a powerful word. And I shouldn't equate everything with love. And that's what sister was trying to tell us. But we're 8 years old. Like, not everything has the height of love. You always want to shoot to the stars. I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this. That's a kid. Sometimes that carries over to adulthood. Hello? We don't love all that. It's nice. We enjoy it. We like it. But love is a word that's dedicated to God first. To God be the glory. And then let's go down to the next level down. And to the next level. And to the next level. We just have to be sure of our possessions, that they don't possess us. Maria Goretti was really astute with that. She had a love of God, a love of prayer, and she was very diligent in her work. Did you know that? Even as a young girl, very diligent in work. I'm sure you know some kids who are very diligent. Sometimes we even say they're OCD. You know what I mean? They do everything, they line up everything right, they underline in red, they're very conscientious of their room, they like to put things away properly because they like that. Maria Goretti was conscious of her work as well. And she thought that was a reflection of her love for God too. That she wanted to take care of the things that she had because she didn't have much. But the things that she did have, she wanted to respect because they were gifts given to her by God through her mom and dad. And that was not going to be forgotten in her life. Well, as it goes, this man, Alessandro, was trying to take another part of her possession, and that was trying to take her innocence. And Maria Goretti would not give in. You know how we have things that we protect. We even sometimes put them in a glass covering. Did you ever see that? We do that with cake. We just protect it. Or we put our jewelry in a drawer with a nice velvet cloth. Protect. Well, there was something that Maria Goretti was also protecting. Her innocence and her purity. That should not be robbed from her. And she would not give in to Alessandro's temptations and forcing her. She would rather die than sin. And he tried over and over again. But unfortunately, to him, he did not win. Fortunately for her, she resisted. He stabbed her to death. And she died a virgin martyr. That innocence and that beautiful gift that she protected to her grave. That was something that God had given her, and she protected it. I think we have a lot to learn from Maria Goretti today. We have a lot to learn about just the beauty of our sexuality. The beauty of our sexuality, the innocence of children. Even when we hear of human trafficking, when we hear of sexual exploitation, when we hear of promiscuity among young people, we say to ourselves, where is the innocence anymore? And unfortunately, we as adults just push sexuality as a commodity. and not as a special jewel that should be protected. What happened with that gift that God gave us? Why has it been thrown away? I know parents teach their children very much so to protect this gift and to cherish this gift. I commend parents. They really do a great job. So thank you, Mom and Dad. Thank you for teaching the children all about this precious gift. They go out into a world, though, that is filled with the enemy. And this gift, which is such a precious gift that should be protected, sometimes is stolen from them. But we have to work diligently to always protect and defend the innocence of children and of this gift of sexuality. Why is it always looked upon as something dirty? I can't understand that, because it was given to us by God to recreate the world. It really is a precious gift, isn't it? But it's a gift for those who are called to procreate the world. I made a promise at my diaconate the year before my priesthood when I promised the bishop that I would not marry and that I would vow my life to a life of celibacy for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. That was back in 1990, the year before I was ordained a priest, because I was ordained a transitional deacon. To understand the gift of sexuality, even as a celibate, even as a married person, even as a single person, do we understand this precious gift given to us by God for a specific purpose? And why is it misused, exploited? Why do human trafficking go on and children's innocence is robbed? Why is there child molestation going on? Why is pornography and internet pornography so rampant these days? Why is this whole gift being exploited? And it's just making us a people that is not called to what we are by God. Maria Goretti will tell us to safeguard the gift, to safeguard the gift, to protect this gift that God has given to us and to use it for its primary purpose. It's a beautiful gift. Remember, the flesh is the hinge to salvation. And so when that flesh is not used for salvation, then it becomes sinful. She did not allow her attacker to rob her of that gift. He stabbed her to death. Afterwards, after time, he converted. See, her dad died when she was younger. I think he died when she was 9. This happened when she was 12. Alessandro asked Maria's mother to forgive him. Though he did his time, he was punished. She forgave him. Do you know, that was I believe, the only time a mother went to their child's canonization. Could you imagine that? Going to your daughter's canonization of sainthood. Guess who was with Maria's mother? Her attacker, Alessandro. He also went. They said it was the largest canonization of that era. God was glorified in this, that he raised her to the sainthood. and that her sacrifice, her twofold triumph of virginity and martyrdom, that she was raised to the glory of heaven, and that we need to go to her and intercede, ask her to intercede for us. She is the patron of youth, the patron of those who are victimized, the patron saint of those in sexual addiction. We need to go to Maria Goretti and ask for her help. I think it's important in this day and age always to remember that. Always to remember it. We never know what motivates a person to do something as horrific as a rape, or attempting to rape, killing somebody. What happened? What was in the mind of that person? Why do they choose that? What happened to them in their life that they are doing this to another? I pray for those who have been attacked, those who have been victimized. I pray for all those people who are, for whatever reason, have been at the hands of an attacker, whether at a young age or at an older age. Someone who has molested them, raped them, led them astray. I pray for healing, and I pray for that person's conversion. A conversion, a turning around. And I think that we need to implore saints like Maria Goretti, especially in this time that we're living in, when this gift of human sexuality is exploited and it's used as a commodity, as something fun without responsibility, as if it's not a vocation and part of a vocational way of life for married couples. As we exploit people in pornography and just make people just objects. Oh, there's a lot. Unfortunately, there's a lot. I invite you to go to confession. Maybe you're struggling with an addiction. Don't ever be afraid or embarrassed. Be afraid when you don't go to confession. Because if you don't go to confession, the devil has you. I just want to tell you that. You're chained. But once you go to confession, Christ takes the chain away. And that's when healing begins. Because you need grace to begin the healing. It doesn't go away. It opens the avenue for healing to begin. You first have to admit that you have a problem or an addiction so that you can begin the healing process. And that's what we all need to understand, especially in the area of human sexuality. When it is confusing, when it is awkward for a young person, when they're being victimized and their innocence is taken away. And that happens, that abuser could be anyone. An uncle, a scout leader, a teacher, a friend, a priest. Anyone. We have to be like Maria Goretti and be able to know no is no. And we need to know that if it does happen, it's okay to tell. That it's okay to tell what happened. That's the healing, the confession. Just think it's nice to talk about these things, everybody. They're heavy topics to talk about, aren't they? But don't you think we should talk about them from time to time? Especially when a particular feast or memorial is celebrated and it's about the life of that saint. It's a good way to come into this area of topic and talk about human trafficking, child molestation, pornography, victims of abuse, and people who are abusers, and what is going on in their life. And what are we doing to stop all of this? What has been done to make sure that these things don't happen again and don't rob people of their innocence? Well, thanks be to God, things have happened and things have changed. And we should never say, okay, we did that, that's over. No, we're always looking, making sure that this does not happen again, making sure is everything working the way it should be working? Are we teaching our teachers, our coaches, our deacons, our priests? Are we talking to children about good touch and bad touch and all of that? But we should never be tired of doing that. We should never be comfortable as if, oh, it's not going to happen again. Well, that's what they said years ago. And it happened again, and it happened again, and it happened again. We just have to be vigilant. And we have to ask the intercession of Maria Goretti to help us, all the angels and saints. And to respect the human person as created by God in his image and likeness, and to protect who we are. You want someone to come up to you and rob your jewelry, take the glasses off your face. You want anyone to invade your personal space, hit you, beat you up. Nor would anyone in this world want them to rob them of their innocence and of their purity. And for that, I think all of us, all of humanity, should work together in providing this wonderful haven called Mother Earth, to make sure we work together that all of God's creation is protected. But in particular, God's human family, protected and safeguarded and not robbed of what God gives them as gift to be used in the proper vocation and way of life. Well, thank you everybody for listening to me on this very serious topic. And let's pray with each other and for each other and for all people, especially our young and our most vulnerable, who look to adults and leaders for the right way of life. That leaders and adults in general never rob our children of their innocence. Saint Maria Goretti, pray for us.